Do you freeze up at the brush wall and never know, do I have to buy expensive brushes? Can I get away with cheaper brushes? Pull up a chair because today I'm doing a review on the 25 Fuumuui set of brushes. They kindly enough sent these to me to try, and I'm not being paid to do this video. This is my own opinion, and anyone that's been around here long enough or knows me knows that I'm going to tell the truth. That's just how I am, and these brushes have 8 different styles, and they range from a size 1, the rigger's a 1, all the way up to a 50 wash brush, which is very nice to have. These are great for wetting paper and watercolor. On the website, they claim that these are good for just about everything. Today, we're testing them on watercolor, traditional gouache, acrylic gouache, and acrylic. And we're going to see if what they claim is true, or if these are any good for any of those mediums. So let's get into it. And the sad thing is I've actually already filmed this whole video. Yeah, I've done the gouache, I've done the acrylic gouache, and the watercolor. So we're just going to go right on the backs of these, and we're going to test them again so you can see what I saw. And I'm going to start with a big brush, and we're going to load it up with some nice juicy watercolor. And I chose the watercolor first because this is where you really they need to be able to hold a lot of water and release evenly in order for them to be useful for watercolor. Because if they don't, you're wasting your time. It'll just be frustrating. So I'm just going to start, and I'm just going to pull it across. Oh, getting a few little things there. Okay, so let me just try that again with a better loaded brush. I don't have as much paint either as I did the first time. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Let's try the round, which is a brush that a lot of us use when we use watercolor. Now I'm gonna go with a smaller brush because with the rounds, the smaller they are, the less they hold. So let's just see. I'm gonna get lots of water in here. Oh, so let's just see. Gives you a nice uniform stroke. And you know what? That holds quite a bit of water. I'm actually, well, let me say it so it sounds believable. I'm surprised. I was actually surprised the first time I did it. It's just hard to fake that I'm surprised because this isn't the first time I've seen it do that. But hang in there. Oh yeah. Yeah, they really do. They really hold quite a bit. I was surprised. And let's try the rigger. So I'm just really loading her up. They have a nice point. That holds a lot. For a rigger, that small, a size 1, that holds one heck of a lot of paint and water. Let me just dry that. I'm just gonna see if they're delicate enough. I mean, they're not real soft. They have a nice spring, and sometimes though, if you're a hard presser, that makes it reconstitute the water. So with watercolor, you have to have a light hand. Really water some of this down so we can see. There we go. I'm going to glaze, see how it glazes. Now I'm going to grab quite a bit over top. And that wobbly stuff is me. That's my shaky hand, but oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, you can absolutely glaze over top. Definitely. Now, here's the thing. Once it gets like this, see how if you keep going, oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, that's actually really good because I was seeing if I could disturb the paint underneath minus the water drop, and it really kind of held its own. So they definitely, with a light touch, they're definitely a nice brush for watercolor, for sure. And after that's dry, I'm gonna give it the ultimate test is actually doing a wash, like a solid wash over the background. Okay, so then we moved on to our gouache. And gouache is similar to watercolor, like it can reconstitute, but it's used a little thicker as you build up, so it would sit more on the surface of the paper, which means it will reconstitute easier the thicker you get. So that's a pretty color. Here's the gouache. What I really like is it's really letting the paint go evenly. Like it's not, some cheap brushes, you can't do this. Let's see if we can just get a nice little, now I'm pressing harder just to see. See how it's got strokes? Okay, let's let that dry. I'm going to try some gouache straight out of the tube as well. This is Ultramarine Blue by Shinhan. I do have a review video on this gouache if you want to see it. I'll link it in the description. And I'll link these below too in the description. And just be aware they are an affiliate link, but I'll also give you a coupon. Okay, so you don't want your gouache that thick anyway. Let's just get it moving a little. You need a little bit of water. Oh, look at how nice and even that's drying. Okay, so let's make this a little watery, but not as watery as the first stuff. There, get it so it's moving a little. And You need the water. Oh yeah, that's a good mixture. You need the water, but not too much water. Gouache is kind of a learning curve because if you get it too thick and you're on paper, it can actually crack and fall off. And if you get it, well, if you get it too thin, you can always add another layer. Let's try the liner. And I'm not gonna show you all the different brush sizes and all the different brush shapes today. I'll do a separate video on that and show you what each one of them can do. Ooh, wow. So this is doing really well for the thicker paint, like really, because this is not, see, it's not as liquidy as watercolor. I'm going to take some of this blue. Okay, so you know what? And these brushes really have a beautiful tip on them. Oh, hit some water. Look at how nice that looks, minus that water. I'm a bad water dropper. Okay. Let's move on to the acrylic gouache. And I had a little piece of paper here that I that I did my samples on. In fact, that's still wet actually, so we can probably reuse that acrylic. So I'm going to try some of the Japanese, which is the gritty one. It's got pumice or something fine in it. You can see it when you put it out. And some carmine because it's beautiful. So this is, might as well start with this color first. You need a little bit of water, not a huge amount. A little more to start. Now I'm just gonna keep going with this round brush. So that's pretty thick. Make it a little thinner. You can kind of start to see the true color there. And this is, oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, so definitely the brushes hold the acrylic wash well as well. Yeah, very nice. Oh, so this just goes on like butter with this brush. But keep in mind, it's consistency of the gouache as well. It's not just the brush, but the brush works well. Okay, let's see how our rigor. Yes, of course, it's gonna run out quicker because it's thicker. But you can spread it out. Oh. Okay, that held quite a bit actually. Okay, is that dry? Not quite. I'm just gonna dry that quick. So let's just try. Oh, there's obviously quite a bit of water still there. Try to get it thicker. A lot of it is brush angle too. So if you notice, I'm laying my brush down almost when I'm doing it. So like this to get it out, because if I go like this, see how it runs out quick? Because a lot of the paint is here in the belly of the brush. Just wanna try some of this again. Let's try that again, only really wide. Yeah, when the paint's really thick, it can only hold so much. It's a synthetic brush, but it's doing a pretty good job. Very impressed. Oh, that's what I want to do. Let's just see with the thicker paint, where it's not watercolor, how thin of a line we can get. Wow. Okay, the points on these are awesome. They really are. Let's move right along to the acrylic. And I really kind of just had fun using the different textures of acrylic, like thick, thin, but we're gonna do it again. We are going to do it again so you can see it. So let's just pull some of this thicker paint up without much water. And I don't have enough paint on there. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, you need enough paint to test it. Because if you've got no paint left and you're trying to pick paint up, you're not gonna pick it up. You don't have enough paint. Okay, let's try this again. Oh yeah, there we go. And we can even lower the brush and get the rest off our brush. Okay, so now I'm just gonna try to be very light and not have the brush marks. Yeah, very minimal. Here you've got some nice distinct brush marks. And if you want less texture with acrylic, you're gonna just water it down a little more. And not load too much thick paint on the sides of your brush because you'll definitely get it there if you do. Okay. And you shouldn't leave your brushes sitting in water, just even if for anything for the point. Wow. So these with like a softer acrylic, like a Liquitex or even a soft body acrylic would be awesome. As you can tell, I grabbed one color. Okay, so yeah, I think really we'll review them all at the end, but there's one last test I wanted to do that I actually didn't do on the watercolor, being able to do a flat wash. Now we're gonna go right over top of this because what's underneath doesn't matter. So you have to load your brush really well, and I'm just going to tilt my paper. Oh, look at the bead. Okay, so right away, we can get a good bead of water. I'm losing my bead. The paper isn't ideal because it's buckled, but if you see that, I was able to pull it down and hold enough water to do that, and that's a very important part of watercolor. You need to be able to get a bead of water, and a lot of my students struggle that come into my studio. They struggle with getting the bead because they're not using good brushes. So here's the watercolor. And that was just our wash we did, which is drying really well except for where I touched it. You know what? I'm really surprised. These brushes are pretty good for watercolor. And here's the first test I did, and this is where I was really shocked. Like, the amount of paint and water that these held for watercolor, I would say is probably the upper range of brushes like that are budget friendly. But I've seen even brushes that you pay more for that aren't as good. And here's the thing, when you buy a set of 24 and you figure out how much you're really paying per brush, you can go into Michael's or someplace like that and you can buy cheap brushes that are floppy and have no consistency. You can't spread the paint around with them for like maybe $2 a brush, $1.99, $2.99, $3.99. And if you add that up, it ends up costing you more than a set of brushes that actually do well. So I would definitely recommend them for watercolor. I can't see any issues with them. For the gouache, oh, that's the acrylic. For the gouache, I'm in love. Like, they worked really well. I could touch them light enough. They weren't too stiff that they dug into the gouache underneath. And even on this side, you missed it, of course, I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with the brush trying to reconstitute this, and it held up really well. I could get a nice smooth line with it, so I would recommend them for gouache as well. Now, the acrylic and the acrylic gouache. So I'm going to start with the acrylic because I probably wouldn't use these for acrylic, but that's because of the way I paint. If you're new and just starting out to acrylic, these are a wonderful set. They've got all kinds of different shapes to play with. There's 8 different shapes. Yeah, you can get some texture, you can get thinner they hold quite a bit even for a thicker paint. So I mean, these are definitely okay for acrylic. Maybe not the way I paint. I like a really stiff brush for acrylic, but that's because I want a really scratchy, scrapey look. So you're not going to, it's going to be harder to get that with these. Bristles are softer. They do have a nice snap. I would definitely use these in my sketchbook for acrylic, no, hands down. Now, here is the one I really want to know, which was the acrylic gouache. And they handled absolutely beautiful for the acrylic gouache. I was able to let it peter out and get some texture. I was able to go over it, you know, with a light enough touch that it covered opaquely. These are actually where I'm going with these. I'm going to use these as my acrylic gouache brushes. I'm so glad that Fuumuui sent these to me because I probably would have never bought them. My opinion would have been, how good can they be? You get used to using a certain level, but yeah, these are better than the cheap brushes I have. Absolutely, and these aren't cheap. They're not cheaply made. There's not a loose ferrule on these. I mean, how many times have you bought cheaper brushes, gotten them home, and you go to rinse it or you go to use it and the ferrule's all loose? A lot of times. These, no, these are nice and solid. They have a beautiful finish and they're wood. Yeah, they were really actually a joy to use. I can't wait to use them in my sketchbook. For me, I might even just pick up a different brush set for my gouache because I like these so much for my acrylic gouache because they weren't too stiff and they weren't too soft. Like they're a good middle of the road brush, and I didn't try them with the oil just because I don't want to contaminate them and not be able to use them for anything else. So on their website where they say oil, acrylic, watercolor, and gouache, I agree. I would definitely recommend these. And again, I'm going to put the link below. And be aware that is an affiliate link, but I'll also put a coupon code where you can get some money off if you'd like to give them a try. I actually used these beforehand, and if you'd like to see something I painted with these, watch this video next. I'll see you over there.